Alright, so I'll come clean here. I have no idea how to even begin this video. Mostly because nothing here makes any fucking sense. But we'll get to that. For now, the facts are simple. I just emptied my revolver into a magic woman, and since she is now dead, I'm gonna go kill her friends. With my werewolf claws. So if you were expecting a regular, linear review, fuck you. The Weird West does not care, and I don't see why I should either. Welcome to the frontier, kids! Hi, my name's Lagger, and Weird West is the weird result of a night of isometric twin-stick shooters taking turns railing prey, and therefore suffering from schizophrenic episodes when it comes to figuring out what genre it should be, or what it's even supposed to be about. My instincts say action RPG, but honestly, I don't remember the last time one of those had me climb down the chimney of a house to rob its occupants while they were asleep, so I'm calling this a passion project and moving on with my life. If anyone has a problem with that, all I can tell you is Devolver Digital financed a group of people who don't even live in the same country, handed the reins to a couple of ex-Arcane employees, and they somehow churned out one of the most fascinating video games in recent memory. Weird West, therefore, doesn't have the time or inclination to give a fuck about what some games journalist thinks. The plot considers concepts like linear and mandatory to be nothing more than words on a page, focusing instead on the eponymous Weird West and the people living in it. You experience that world through the lens of 5 separate, yet deeply intertwined stories. A former bounty hunter with a decidedly dead child picking up her old blue again with the intention of killing those responsible. An amnesiac pigman attempting to figure out how not to get lynched on sight. A Native American doing his best mid-1800s impression of a Ghostbuster. A werewolf crusader fighting the final war against the Order of Witches sworn to wipe out his ilk. And a newly induced witch initiate trying to stop the coming end of the world with the power of unbridled violence. More than that though, there is weirdness abound from the start. Magical brands, body possession, immortality. Your characters could start Schizophrenics Anonymous if they really wanted. And whatever is really going on deep down below the surface, you're part of it. Not just your characters. You. Each journey results in permanent change to the world, be it large events creating and destroying entire factions, or simply a store's owner changing due to unexpected lead poison. The Weird West will be altered based on your decisions, minor as they may be, and whether you like it or not. Refusing to take part in solving the problems the game throws at you will just lead to them growing unchecked. And the frontier tends to not put much stock into your opinion if you're not packing the will to kill someone to prove your point. The world of Weird West might, like all truly weird RPGs, be its biggest strength. Towns can be turned into graveyards, infested by monsters, then populated again once the monsters have been cleared out. Nooks and crannies of the world persist between your journeys, including whatever stashes you might decide to leave behind for someone else to find. Your characters' reputations will change as people hear of your exploits, earning loyalty from those you save and vendettas from those whose friends you've killed. If you survive the path laid out in front of you, the next character you play as can recruit your previous self, giving you access not only to your previous inventory, but also pulling you right back into whatever unsolved vendettas they've gotten left over. That is, unless they have one of those vendettas towards whoever your new character is. Remember how I mentioned you playing as a werewolf fighting a bunch of witches and a witch trying to save the world? That happens in sequence, and those two factions are at war. Good luck talking to your previous self, little witch. I hope you brought enough ammo. The Weird West is forever in motion. Towns have routines that put them to sleep at night, which you can use to slip past their inhabitants and rob them blind. People won't talk to you if they know you were the one stealing and will instead sick lawmen on you. And you could go to jail to level with the law, or refuse, kill everyone involved, steal a horse, and disappear into the wilderness. It's your call to make. The powers that really turn the gears, and make no mistake, you will tangle with those too, they don't really care about the petty squabbles of a bunch of lowly mortals. After all, the world itself is at stake. Plus, the Weird West's a dangerous place. Nobody here leaves their house without their equalizer, yourself included. Sometimes you can talk a fucker out of committing suicide by player character, but more often than not, you'll have to draw. And in that case, drawing first is generally considered a good move. Weird West's combat is about isometric shooting at its core, but no less comprehensive in detail than any other part of this game. While the primary solution to most shootouts is indeed the max pain dive, the average firefight can go 1,000 different ways. Whether it's kicking enemies off of their vantage points or shooting oil puddles to light a monster on fire, the word of the day for this game is opportunity. Like any good immersive sim, it lets you approach every situation however you like. The only limiting factor is how quick on your feet you can be and how much violence you're willing to resort to make the problem go away. Lethal or non-lethal, stealthy or avert, using bullets or arrows, all you have to do is somehow complete the objective. Shit that require you to blow up the map itself, well, there is a reason they let you have this much dynamite. In fact, the shit you can do in this game lives up to its fucking name. Running out of health? Consume the corpses of your enemies! Want an extra kick of power? How about undergoing the ritual to turn into a fucking werewolf? Want to drive someone away from a place? There is realistic fire sprat to help with that. From old school red barrels to random mining equipment, anything and everything can be used to let you sneak or blast your way through enemy lines. Weird West is full of mechanics that are in place mostly so you have the option to do something. Having fun with it is your problem. The game won't punish you for taking the time to do something other than scramble to get the primary mission done, but it frankly doesn't give much of a fuck about whether you find one of the fun ways to do it. I mean, yeah, you could just stealth your way through everything, this is an immersive sim, but why in the hell would you want the game to be boring when it lets you get your hands on a self-loading shotgun? And that logic extends to everything. Taking the opportunity to scour a mine with a pickaxe for ore to sell off or upgrade your weapons with can be just as interesting as clearing a quest, especially when those mines are full of no longer people who may have forgotten why they're there, but not how to light a stick of dynamite. Lucky for everyone involved, knowledge of OSHA violations went the way of the rest of their minds, so there is no one left to complain when you decide to shoot that dynamite straight out of their hands for a little explosive sideshow. Still, it wouldn't do to be doing all these things just because you felt like it. There is plenty going on out in the frontier for you to get tangled up in, from whorehouses up in arms over workers' rights to pigs cursed to rhyme forever. And while you're not obligated to participate, there's definitely quite a bit in it for you. Treasures await in the forgotten corners of the world, along with scrawled records of obscure truths, not to mention the gratitude of folks all throughout the West. Finding secrets is all just about being in the know. Whether you've gleaned that information from the papers, like so many others, looted it off the corpse of a would-be conqueror, or unearthed it by accident. The trinkets and tools that litter the world are plentiful for anyone resourceful enough to go looking. Sure, most of it is fucking trash, but it still has resale value. The things that are useful, though, are useful in the extreme. Having a shovel and a pickaxe available is necessary for extracting things from the ground, and you're not getting the skin off of any animal you manage to hunt down without the proper tools either. Above easy difficulty, food pickups are the only way to restore health, and you need sleeping bags to get rest out in the wild. Medical tools, various semi-scientific elixirs, magical knives, ammunition, all of those need to be obtained and often maintained, lest you want to end up like all those people you keep digging up for treasure. Above all else, however, you need the things necessary to survive a shootout. Unlike a lot of immersive sims, Weird West doesn't really make much fuss about you carrying every weapon known to man at the same time, so you can gleefully go from silently murdering unaware bandits with a bow, through spewing bullets at them with a rifle or a pistol, to deleting them with a shotgun and beating the survivors to death, all without ever entering the inventory screen. And you're likely going to see enemies using all those toys too, just to keep you on your toes. The variety of weapons isn't particularly large though, so if you want to use a shotgun, your two options are either the automatic one for print sweeping, or the good old double barrel for the sheer get off my lawn effect. The same problem persists with every other weapon type too, which makes it far too easy to slide towards solving every engagement the exact same way. Granted, it's a fun way, but even that gets tiring around the 15-hour mark. And that'd be a goddamn waste. Each weapon type has its own share of abilities and quirks, and finding time to experiment with them is a crucial part of making the murder you partake in enjoyable. More bullets is an adequate way to kill someone, sure, but McCreeing 6 fuckers at once with a revolver full of magic electrifying rounds is far funnier. And not even that measures up to the sheer hilarity of slamming all 3 of your shotgun abilities at once and laughing as whatever monster was charging you disintegrates into fine mist. Plus, each character has more of where that came from tied to their class. Tired of being shot at, feel like the world's going by a little too fast for you to appreciate its beauty? Craving invisibility or combat healing? Yeah, someone somewhere's got you covered. But none of that is mandatory. You could just dodge bullets and pull the trigger, and you're gonna get through the game just fine. I mean, yeah, it's a waste, but when the control scheme is as convoluted as it is, and the camera controls make it actively difficult to aim, why wouldn't you? At least this way, your aiming reticle snaps a target. Weird West is just weird, in the best and worst possible sense of the word. For all its possibilities, it doesn't care to force you to play with it more than you would yourself, and refuses to put forward much in the way of rules. It's a shame the fuckers from V hadn't had their field day with this thing yet, because their autistic rage over the wasted potential would have been enough to lift Europe out of its current energy crisis. Plus, it might get them to stop being mad about, what was it this week again? Weirdness being the new norm is the best thing this game has got going for it. The soundtrack is something you can only describe as experimental. The art style is somewhere between a comic book and a spaghetti western. My favorite character is a witch who's definitely in this specifically to fuck with you, and I cannot describe how baffling it is to find out that actually, the ritual of turning someone into a werewolf is 100% coded in as entirely optional side content. The game is at its best when instead of engaging with the mystery directly, you take your time to mess around and stumble upon the miles of inexplicable side content, leagues of weird shit that line the streets of towns out in the frontier, and the bulbous massive environmental interactions that you can set off with bullets. Should you choose to do otherwise, all you're going to get for your trouble is extremely janky stealth and a pile of mediocre shootouts. But hey, Studio's got Game of the Year awards for less. And that'll be all your own fault, because I don't run on David Cage rules here. But despite all that, Weird West remains well worth the asking price, if you enjoy its particular brand of insanity. Sure, it's likely not going to be for everyone. It definitely took me a while to understand. And besides, it's fucking jank. But as with any good immersive sim, if it's jank enough, it'll gain a cult following eventually. Just hopefully not the wrong kind of cult.